Are you ready to clear your mind with meditation? In this video, I'm going to break down the specific practice of mindfulness meditation, give you an overview of how it works, along with some tips that you can use in order to begin your practice today. Let's roll. The first thing to understand is, what is mindfulness meditation? Meditation is a very general term. So when someone says I meditate, that's very similar to saying I practice sports or I play sports. It doesn't really give us a lot of information. Even here on the HIYERAlignment YouTube channel, there are tons of practices labeled meditations, but these are more visualizations. So when you search online for a chakra healing meditation or an inner child meditation or a meditation to find answers from your dreams, these are more visualizations. They have a storyline element to them, versus mindfulness meditation is a practice that helps you balance your attention. It is the practice that people typically know as clearing your mind. But for beginners, I advise don't even think about that, because you'll make yourself frustrated. There is a process of how the mind goes from very active or even overactive to a mind that is tranquil and clear of thoughts. But your ultimate takeaway is that mindfulness meditation is a practice that helps you achieve attentional balance. The word mindfulness means to bear something in mind, to remember, to recall, to not forget. And meditation is going to mean to become familiar with, or even to open to. So you're becoming familiar with increasingly subtle states of mind through bearing in mind or settling the focus of attention on what is called an object. Once the mind is able to be settled on that object and no other distractions come into the mind, then your focus becomes so strong that eventually you can even eliminate that object and just rest in awareness itself. So a little bit more detailed about how it works in the practice of mindfulness meditation. As I mentioned, you're going to have an object of attention. So many people may know the practice or one of the practices called mindfulness of breathing. In these practices, the breath is your object. So you relax the body, settle the focus of awareness on the breath. And for beginners, what you're going to be doing is trying to realize when the mind has become distracted by emotions, memories, sensations, if the mind trails off into the future or if it trails off into the past. Most of the time for beginners, the mind will trail off and you won't even realize that your mind has become distracted, and you may become consumed with the thoughts and the content of those thoughts. At this point, you're actually no longer meditating, you're thinking, you're ruminating, you're obsessing. So your goal is to realize when the mind has strayed from that object and gently bring it back. Over time, the mind will be able to settle on that object and it won't move. Now, this practice is amazing because once again, it helps you achieve attentional balance. And this is very important for people who suffer with ADD or ADHD, but really for anyone. It also activates the parasympathetic nervous system. It calms the nervous system, calms the body, calms the mind. It helps you release and relieve stress. It also helps you become more aware of your emotions, and it gives you the ability to make better decisions because you won't be caught up in emotions and you won't be making those decisions from, for example, a place of deep anger or rage or jealousy. You'll notice that those emotions come up, but because you have practiced mindfulness meditation, you'll know that those emotions, those thoughts, they're simply going to release themselves. So you'll learn to allow your emotions to pass before you make important decisions so that you really don't mess up what you have going on in life. Mindfulness meditation is going to also teach you patience, and it has so many other benefits. Now, if you've been following me here on Higher Alignment, you know that one of the practices that I often teach you about is dream work and lucid dreaming. So if you're someone who's interested in recalling, remembering your dreams, or even becoming lucid in your dreams, this practice is going to be immensely helpful in helping you develop those abilities and skills as well. Few tips on how to help you get started with this practice today. Remember, if you don't actually engage with the practice, then you're not going to get the benefits. Tip number one, though, is going to be to make sure that you actually understand the technique. So many times I encounter people in my practice, I encounter clients who come to me who want to practice meditation, or they say they are practicing mindfulness meditation, which once again is a very specific type of meditation, but they either don't understand what meditation is, or they find that they're not actually practicing mindfulness meditation. They're doing something else. So in any technique, you're always going to want to make sure that you are understanding the specific practice that you are engaging in so that you can be very targeted in your approach. Tip number two is going to be to find appropriate resources. So if you're interested in developing your mindfulness meditation practice and you've made it this far in the video, I would suggest that you join me all this year. This is 2024. All this year, I'm going to be teaching mindfulness meditation practice in my Patreon group, and it's only $5 a month. So, I mean, you really can't beat that. We have live classes once to twice a month, and in between each class, I actually create a guided practice for you to use to master those foundational skills before you move on to the next technique in the practice. Here on the Higher Alignment YouTube channel, there's also a video called the Mindfulness of Breathing practice, so you can use that one as well. Tip number three is going to be to create time and space to practice. Now, many times people are going to have a million excuses on why they can't practice, including, I don't know what I'm doing, I can't find the time to do it, I am so busy. So when you create that time and space to practice, you want to be very specific to eliminate those excuses. You want to practice at least for 20 minutes twice a day, maybe once in the morning and once in the evening. But once again, be specific. So maybe you'll say, I'm going to practice at 7 a.m. every morning and 8:30 p.m. every evening. This is where I'm going to practice. I'm going to practice in my room. I'm going to practice in front of my altar. I'm going to practice in my garden. And you want to make sure that the environment you're practicing in is clear from distractions. So even if you live with other people, you're going to want to tell your partner, your kids, whoever, hey, this next 20-25 minutes, I'm going to really need to be undisturbed. Don't call me, don't come out here, don't ask me for anything. This is my time to be with me and to do what I'm doing. The next tip is going to be to go slow. Don't immediately try to jump into the deep end or those advanced practices. Simply put, it's just not going to work for you. Remember, this is a mind training technique, an attentional training technique. So if you don't have the ability to focus at those beginners foundational level, then you're definitely not going to have the ability to focus at the advanced level. So it's going to behoove you to go slow, to make sure that you establish those foundational techniques and integrate them into your life. And then, slowly work your way up, which once again is what we're going to be doing in my Patreon mindfulness meditation series. Now, if you're ready to begin and you want to dive in deeper, in the description box below, I'm going to put my mindfulness meditation resources guide. It has a replay of the intro workshop to my series, which goes in a lot more depth. It's called 10 Steps to Clearing the Mind with Meditation. And I review with you this ancient overview of how the mind in 10 phases goes from very active to peaceful and tranquil and clear of thoughts It was originally developed by 8th century Indian Buddhist contemplative Kamala Shila. So it's very, very interesting. In the guide, you also have journaling prompts to help you find focus and inspiration for your practice, which is very, very important. It has suggested readings and also, once again, an invitation for you to join me in the Patreon series that I'm doing all this year on mindfulness meditation. I'm going to include the link to that mindfulness meditation resources guide in the description box below. While you're down there, make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss any future videos. And in the meantime, in between time, here are 2 more videos that YouTube thinks that you would enjoy.